their introductions.
Thanks very much, Madam Chair. With respect to Mr. Weaver, he has been nominated to fill the last vacancy on the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. This seat had been occupied by former Commissioner Annie Caputo, who resigned in August. And I cannot help but wonder if her resignation was influenced by the Department of Energy and doggy, as I describe it, interference at NRC and the ensuing turmoil. This is the third hearing for an NRC nominee this year and the second hearing to fill an NRC slot that was prematurely vacated. I will repeat the warning that I relayed to Chairman Wright and now Commissioner Nia. The Trump administration's assault on NRC's independence threatens the stability and reputation of the agency, and that threatens the viability of the U.S. nuclear industry. Our nuclear industry's success depends upon the credibility of its regulator. That credibility is clearly in jeopardy, as I have pointed out in all of these nominations. In March 1975, NRC's first chairman, Bill Anders, testified before the Senate Joint Committee on Atomic Energy that, and I'm quoting him here, "Public confidence will follow only if our performance both serves and is perceived to serve the public interest and is not prejudiced either for or against the industry we regulate." Instead, the Department of Energy has intruded across the NRC's congressionally mandated separation from DOE, and doggy has inserted at NRC 10 unqualified doggy staffers. In the name of transformation, these doggies have pushed out nuclear experts and directed the NRC to rip up and revise its regulations in a dangerously short time frame. That supposed transformation has only sown turmoil. It begs the question, who is behind the rush to a wholesale revision of regulations within 9 months? Who benefits? NRC lost scores of senior executives and technical staffers who might have defended against mischief lurking in such a change. And the revision is being jammed through without transparency or consultation under the Trump OIRA's new black box process. And it's led by a so-called acting general counsel who lacks any nuclear energy experience. That is a dangerous combination. Kneecapping the nation's safety regulator at a time of unprecedented interest in cutting-edge nuclear technologies is should and begs the question again, who's behind this? Why is the administration evading NRC's licensing process by rushing applications through the Department of Energy or the Department of Defense without the expertise or the capacity to handle such reviews? If you think the winner here is the nuclear industry, you're wrong. Industry will pay the price of regulatory uncertainty. Industry will pay the price of errors from rushed reviews. Industry will pay the price of undermined confidence in nuclear safety. And God forbid we will all pay the price if something goes seriously wrong. We will all pay the price of losing out on a zero emissions energy source while we face growing climate and energy crises. Mr. Weaver has, on paper, the technical qualifications for the job. He served 2 decades at the NRC and worked in the nuclear industry. My question for him is whether he will have the backbone, the courage at the NRC to choose safety over pressure from the Department of Energy as it engages in a bureaucratic capture effort, or doggy as it does its thing one and thing two general destruction of government operations, or the administration or political forces directing the administration. I hope he will, and I hope that I'll be in a position after this to vote for him as I voted for Mr. Nia. Turning now to Mr. Beaman. The Trump administration violated decades of bipartisanship at the Tennessee Valley Authority, firing all 3 Democratic board members. My Republican colleagues are evidently okay with that. Mr. Beaman's prime qualifications are that he's a Trump loyalist and 2020 election denier. He even signed a letter urging state legislators to appoint fake electors to the Electoral College to overturn the election. He has a Freedom Award from the Koch-backed Americans for Prosperity, a battleship of the fossil fuel influence armada. When the ask comes to raise TVA customers' rates by backing away from less expensive clean energy to keep more expensive fossil fuel plants running, it's a pretty safe bet whose back he will have. He's the landlord to multiple Republican members of Congress at his Capitol Hill row home, and the campaign treasurer for one whose misrepresentations on financial disclosures and reports are now pending review by the House Ethics Committee. The nonpartisan Office of Congressional Ethics found evidence of wrongdoing, but despite OCE's recommendation to subpoena witnesses, the investigation has been stalled since another of Beaman's tenants, Mike Johnson, became Speaker of the House. We will see if my Republican colleagues are okay with that, too. Bipartisanship at the TVA had long been a bipartisan Senate thing until the Senate rolled over for the Trump administration. Competence at the NRC had long been a bipartisan Senate thing until the Senate rolled over for DOE and doggy interference and whatever corrupt mess is behind that interference. And in a normal Senate, it would be a bipartisan Senate thing to hold the nomination of someone involved as campaign treasurer in a House ethics investigation until the investigation was concluded. Finally, there are personal issues that are laid out in a variety of articles that I ask to be put into the record so that the Senate is fully aware of the candidate's background. I think voters just sent a pretty strong message about following the Trump administration off the corruption cliff, and I hope senators on both sides think twice about continually tearing down our own institution. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Whitehouse. So we will